Hey, Marc Millan here. Thank you for letting me be a part of your day. Today I want to talk about the topic of being a curious leader. Now, if you've been in leadership, if you've been placed in charge, have certain responsibilities that oversee other people, and you've done that for a while, one of the challenges that I have found, maybe you found it as well, is what Jocko Willink calls the dichotomy of leadership. There's this balance between what I've come to know and the things I still yet have to learn. There's this balance between the things I have experience in and the things that I have done in the past, yet I'm in a new situation with new people and I'm trying to figure out where we need to go at the same time. And one of the temptations can be that we can assume that we know everything in a new season or a new situation based on what we did in the past or based on what we've experienced in the past. So I'm hoping that today will help you kind of walk that very sensitively and gingerly, because I do believe that every new season presents new opportunities to learn and grow. And while there are a number of things we can reach back on based on experience, not everything we've done in the past guarantees that we know what to do in the present or in the future. So the idea of being a curious leader is our topic today. So I want to give you 3 things I think that can help you when you're interacting with your team, when you're interacting with a team member, someone that you either have to collaborate with or someone that you're responsible for, so that you don't make the mistake in assuming you know everything that you already need to know. I've done this too many times, so I'm forcing myself to do this now, and I think it's helping me tremendously. So just to summarize before we get into the 3 things, a curious leader is one who, although they may have experience, although they may have some track record in some area, they are not going to presume or assume that they know the answers to the new situation. I like to think of it this way: a great leader is not one who has all the answers, but rather a great leader is one who knows how to ask great questions. Okay, so let's jump in. Number 1, ask questions that lead to learning for you. So if you're doing a one-on-one, if you're working with another person in another department, if you have to collaborate with someone, aim to ask questions that lead to your learning and your understanding. Hey, I'm not familiar with that. Help me understand how that works. What's the language that we use here? Give me a little background on why we approach it that way. It gives you the opportunity to get information, data, understanding, reasoning, vision from someone else who's already been there, and you're just kind of taking a humble approach to kind of get that perspective first before you can gather your own conclusions. So start by asking questions that lead you to learn and lead you to grow for your own understanding and for your own purposes. Number 2, ask questions that lead to solving problems. The temptation, again, if you've done something for a long time, you can automatically want to impose solutions. You can automatically want to offer solutions or just point out what's not working. But I want to ask you to consider just pulling back a little bit and ask questions that will solve the situation between you and either your subordinate or your co-team member or whoever you're collaborating with. The reason why I say this is so important as a curious leader is because it builds connection and trust between you both, and it always develops the other person at the same time. You may see it faster than they see it. You may see the solution faster than they can see the solution. But if you ask questions about how you can solve the situation, I think it helps both grow and develop everybody's leadership at the same time. I've made this mistake too often where I've just kind of seen it quicker than other people, and I want to just kind of give my opinion and kind of give my perspective and say, well, I think we need to do this, but it doesn't allow anyone else to grow into that as well. The other thing about point number 2 here is asking questions to solve problems is a lot of times we don't know everything we need to know as a leader. So hearing input, gaining input is very, very important. I might understand why we're doing something, so the why is very clear to me, But the person who has the responsibility may see things and understand things that I'm not attached to, or that I don't have to deal with on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis. So I might make a request and say, hey, we need to go ahead and do this. And they might say, we can't do that, or we can't do that way. And so at that point, you have to stop and say, okay, well, this is what we're trying to accomplish, and this is why this needs to get done. How can we get there? And that's the approach of saying, ask questions that lead to solutions, because then you invite the other person or persons into the problem solving circle. And the more people that can buy into the solution, the stronger the solution will be. Okay, number 3, ask questions that lead to connecting with the person. So ask questions that lead to connection. And I just want to kind of put in parentheses, empathy. A lot of times we have to remember as the leader that the other person, they have their own life, they have their own responsibilities, they have their own workload, they have their own pace, they have their own kind of way of reasoning and processing and handling stress differently than we do. So when we're asking questions, it's very, very helpful to kind of step into their world and build connection through the questions you're asking. Hey, I'll give you an example. Hey, next week, I'm hoping that we can get this done. Do you think that that's possible? What's your workload look like for you going into next week? Hey, I know I asked you to do this other thing, but this other thing has come up and it's a really high priority. Do you believe that we can get this done and get the other thing done, or do we need to reconsider kind of reprioritizing both of those things? Asking questions, those type of questions through the lens of empathy will lead to a stronger connection of trust between you and who you're working with. I think oftentimes we can kind of get into work mode. I got to get this done. You got to get that done. And we just kind of look past, I guess what I can say is the human element of just day-to-day things, right? We have life, we have family, we have relationships, we have bills to pay. You know, we have the things of life that we're carrying, plus the work that we're carrying. And sometimes as a leader, we can just see mission and vision and just kind of go at it like 100%. And so I think asking questions that lead to connection are very, very important and helpful in your ability to lead and influence people. Another way to approach that is just, hey, how is this impacting you? I know I have to make this decision, and I know we talked about it, but how are you feeling with it? You know, what are you processing? Just those simple things allow for the relationship to be nurtured and to grow. And as with anything, the more you connect with your team, the more you build trust with your team, the stronger they become and the quicker things get done, because they believe that you have their back and they will have your back once they know that you care for them as people. So those are the 3 things I think that can help you be a curious leader. Again, having all the answers might be helpful, but when you're leading a team, the best thing you can do to lead them is to ask really great questions and allow them to teach you something so that you're learning, to be part of the solution with you and come up with solutions for themselves, and then finally for them to connect with you. Those 3 things will help your leadership and influence as you're leading your team and serving them with excellence. So be a curious leader, keep learning, keep growing, walk humbly as often as you can. It's not a bad thing to ask for help. You have to be competent, you have to know what you're doing, but you're not gonna know everything about everything. So be open, be curious, and be humble, serve your team well, and serve them with excellence. That's all I have for you today, from my heart to yours. Until next time.